I've introduced legislation, House Bill 3636, that was modeled after the Simpson-Bowles recommendation, a three-step phase-in of a 15-cent gas tax increase, the first increase in 20 years.
Well, he said he would do it, and today he did, even though I just last night asked him point blank why the heck he was. There are a lot of people listening to this, okay? This congressman is talking about, you're talking about doubling the gas tax and acting like it's no big deal.
I didn't say it was not a big deal. I said it is a big deal. It's very important. The ability to fund transportation, because we haven't raised the gas tax in 20 years.
But you can't account for the money that's been allocated already, that's committed already.
Absolutely you can. Look at your communities in terms of the bridge construction, the maintenance.
Do you honestly believe, working with the folks that you do, that the money you might get from this gas tax is going to be used exclusively and only for repairing roads and bridges and fixing our highways? Do you think that's really going to be the case? Does the history with the people you work with indicate that that will ever be the case? Really?
Well, why do you say that? Where do you think it's gone? I don't know,
because our roads and bridges are for crap. And this is after we've committed tens of billions of dollars each and every year through a variety of sources, and they're still falling apart. So you're saying, well, maybe the difference and maybe the answer is more money. The fact of the matter is, with the money we spend, we can't account for it.
Where do you get that? You can't account for it.
Can you account for $42 billion? Can you spell out for me, Congressman, where that $42 billion is gone?
The budget is available for every state.
I'm aware of the budget. Can you tell me where it's gone? If the goal was to fix roads and bridges, and they're still, accurately to your point, falling apart, methinks someone has stolen it. Someone has taken it.
Wow.
What Americans want to know is, how can you guarantee the new monies you want from this won't compound the sin?
I just finished indicating to you that independent studies from business, from Republican
You have no idea. You have no idea, do you? You have no idea.
I think you purposely don't have an idea.
You know, I cover this a lot, Congressman. I cover this a lot, and I get the same answer.
Thanks for your time. And maybe it's because you're just wrong, Neil.
Yeah, well,
that the money didn't disappear. Some places you'd like it spent differently. There are things I'd like to do better.
No, that was transportation money. Transportation money goes to transportation. And around it went. It got worse. And if you think that was hot, today a peek at the thousands of emails and tweets that show more than a few of you are very hot and very bothered. Wow, I didn't expect this. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and pump it up and tax it up, because Oregon Democratic Congressman Earl Blumenauer is now fed up with an infrastructure that is crumbling and a federal gas tax that for 2 decades now has not been moving. That is until now, because the congressman wants to double it to north of 33 cents a gallon now. He says because we need the dough. I said, first tell me where we got all that other infrastructure dough. Where did that go? A sometimes blistering exchange that prompted a whole lot of blistering responses, including this one from Rick in New Jersey. Thanks for not letting this stooge off the hook. Well done. Larry via Gmail. Neil, I didn't think you could top your guest Richard Simmons, but I was wrong. Plus, I never take anyone seriously that wears a bicycle on their lapel. You know, I missed that through the whole interview. BM in Florida, great job. I thought Mr. Blumenauer was going to cry. I never suspected that. Answering your question directly, I did, but not that. Bill in Maryland, he made a strong argument for term limits. He just doesn't get it. Donald in New York. Neil, now I can see why this country is going down the tubes. David in Texas, what happened to all the money for infrastructure from the stimulus package a few years back? You're right about that. That was $800 billion. Where'd it go? Foo. Anyway, what indeed, David? And that's just a small fraction of the hundreds of billions we've committed to our nation's infrastructure over the years. Now, we're going to have lots more on that in just a minute. Walter via AOL.com, you lost your cool. The one who shouts the loudest and interrupts the most is an objective commentator. No, just an impatient one, Walter. I asked the congressman at least 5 different times, as calmly as I could, explain what happened to all the money we have already committed to roads and bridges before you ask Americans to provide still more money. Nothing. I think that says something. Annette out of Wisconsin knows of what I speak. My dad was a department assistant manager of traffic control in Milwaukee for years. He always said that the transportation funds were regularly raided by the general funds to pay for anything and everything else. You are completely correct. Dennis in St. Augustine, Florida. Geez, Neil, was your interview third rate at best? Usable infrastructure is being ignored. And so too any accounting of the hundreds of millions of dollars in usable dough to fix it, Dennis? Jeez. Carol via Hotmail. Gammy Carol offers you a cup of chamomile tea. I applaud you for wondering where our tax money is going. Well, thank you, Gammy. I'm going to take you up on that if you spike it. Anyway, Thomas via MSN.com. This man should be embarrassed. He's exactly why we're in debt. No one in D.C. gives a damn about fraud and waste. Forget fraud and waste. Just follow what happened with it. What happened with it? Ed via Verizon.net. Tonight was the first time that we saw you lose your temper. You were definitely justified. We trust that this will not spoil your Christmas. Well, not yet, Ed. But even talk of a doubling of gas taxes was sure unnerving to a lot of folks 3 weeks to the day ahead of Christmas. To Jamie Colby, is finding out for herself at a Sunoco station in New York City. Jamie.
Yeah, unnerving to say the least, Neil, and kudos to you for asking the question that has everyone at the pump scratching their head. Gas prices over the last couple of months had been coming down, but now they realize they're going to go up, and they're really steamed because it's due to higher taxes.
That's it's unthinkable. That's almost insane. Gas prices are going almost $4 for a gallon now, and I mean, you can't even afford to eat after that.
Oh no, that's not good. That's outrageous. I don't think that's good. I don't like that. Gas is already expensive as it is.
If you're gonna double the taxes, so how much is gonna be the gas? Who gonna lose? The payers, the taxpayers, they gonna lose.
No, that's too much. No, I'm not okay with that.
And Neil, we tried to nail down the answer to the exact question you asked. If you're going to collect all this money in taxes, where is that money going to go? What exactly is going to be fueled? Listen.
I have no clue where the money goes because they don't tell you nothing. Basically, you don't know nothing, and they don't even explain where the money goes.
Very confusing. I have no idea where it goes.
So I have no idea where the money's going.
It seems horrible. It seems like we pay too much tax now, and we don't know where the money goes.
I think most of the time the money goes to places or initiatives that I think that me and my colleagues or whatnot probably wouldn't approve of anyways.
I have no idea. I have no idea how it works.
Yeah, Neil, 49.5 cents tax. That's what's included in a gallon of gas right now. If that Blumenauer bill passes, it will be in New York 83 cents per gallon in taxes. Advocates are arguing that they need to come up with that because there's a $20 billion shortfall in what they need for infrastructure improvements. Stay on it, Neil.
All right, Jamie, thank you very, very much. Maybe a lot of these folks are confused because they feel plenty taxed as it is. Because it is not as if when it comes to infrastructure funding, we're exactly skimping, not even close. I want you to take a look at this. We're already spending more than $121 billion each year in combined taxes, fees, and ancillary payments for just this purpose, infrastructure, including $85 billion that Uncle Sam and states are collecting each year in fuel taxes. Another $12 billion bucks in tolls, $9.8 billion in property taxes and assessments. Indeed. And $14.5 billion in additional local and state ancillary fees. $62 billion in combined oil company taxes, presumably earmarked for just this sort of thing, or could be. And by the way, I'm leaving out the $800 billion stimulus package. Remember that? That was supposed to have all this shovel-ready project, infrastructure building, roads, repairs, whatever you want. I'm leaving that out for the purpose of just looking at these annual figures. Reason enough why Reason editor-in-chief Matt Welch says it is not an issue of all the money we're already paying, but where the heck it is going. Matt, we don't know.
We don't know. Well, we do know that the gas tax, which they've been collecting since 1956, basically for the last 30 years, 1/4 out of every dollar collected for the gas tax does not go to the interstate highway system, which was originally funded to help maintain. It goes to public urban transit. So it's not even going to its original purpose at all. It's going to kind of the opposite of what you might expect for a kind of user-generated fee out there. It's going to bike trails. I mean, there's a reason why the representative had the little green bike on his lapel there. He's getting some money from the gas tax for his bike lanes in Portland, Oregon.
And a lot of thing about these taxes, they don't go away. I remember when in New York they're building the Verrazano Bridge, they said when the tax first went up, it was a controversial tax. When the bridge is paid for and done, we'll take the toll away. Last time I checked, the toll is still there. It's about $75 now to go over the Verrazano Bridge. Exaggerate, but to make the point here that we're not following the monies we're already spending that I think are not exactly in a lockbox just meant for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at people who advocate for big government, they actually don't spend a lot of time extolling the virtues of big government because that is an awkward conversation and because it requires them to do what you were asking earlier, is just document what you've already spent. Right? The federal government spent $1.8 trillion in 2000. It spent $3.6 trillion in 2010. So are we getting double anything, or 80% if you're adjusting for inflation, of course? No, we're not. Where is this magical stuff coming from? President Obama walks around talking about how, hey, we used to build the Golden Gate Bridge and beautiful things like that. Keeping aside the fact that the federal government did not build the Golden Gate Bridge. But where are our Golden Gate bridges? That would have cost $530 million in today's money, which is about 1% of the stimulus. We spent $50 billion on road infrastructure in the stimulus. Where did it go? Nobody wants to answer that question because the thing is, we spend money much worse than we did back in 1956. It goes to bloated contracts. It goes to politically connected developers or states that don't really need the stuff. Spending money on the federal level is an inefficient way to deal with local and state and city roads.
If you were to add it all up, let's say now, being devil's advocate here, let's take the stimulus money, the shovel-ready projects, a lot of them were infrastructure targeted, at around $800 billion, and average it out over the last 5 years, and throw in the $60 billion or so you're supposed to get from the oil company, a lot of taxes, and they were going to tap that for infrastructure. You're looking at $250 to $300 billion a year that would be presumably allocated to just this sort of thing. And we're asking for more?
Yeah, and part of it is just simply, you know, they're diverting this money here, and it's the wrong way to do it. I mean, you could imagine in 1956 that a gas tax seemed like a user fee. Well, we have a lot of different ways to get around these days. My brother just bought an electric car, for crying out loud, so he's not paying a lot in the gas tax here.
Well, they're going to zoom him because they're going to start charging by the mile. So
well, what needs to happen, since we're not building highways anymore, you have to build highways by using tolls and by using private companies to generate capital to build these things, and increasingly that's where we need to be going towards in maintenance as well, because we do have an infrastructure gap here. The money's being siphoned away, and
the money's out there. We're not spending it on this. Matthew, thank you as always. Well, you know, if consumers get slapped with an extra gas tax, will they make up for it by cutting elsewhere? Monica Maida thinks so, and she's worried about it. How so?
Well, absolutely. The average consumer drives past 12 pumps on his daily commute, and even at 45 miles an hour, you can keep track of the prices. And so not only are you paying more at the pump, but now every single thing in your closet, in your cupboard, that was put on a truck at some point between the factory and the store is now going up in price as well. And so what if
people say who advocate this? Look, the price of gas has come down at least that over this course of time, and so you won't notice it.
The price of gas fluctuates throughout the year, and it's frankly a conversation that we have at many points in the year when the gas price is up. People are pulling back, they're really feeling the pinch. And what retailers have seen is that there's a lack of elasticity in gas prices, meaning even when prices go up, the consumer still has to commute to work, they still have to pick up their kids from school, so they're not cutting back their fuel consumption that much. They're just spending so much more that they can't spend on other stuff. It really hurts. It hurts the consumer, and it's not something we want to see happen.
Incredible. Monica, thank you very much. I do want to relate one last thing here to put this in very, very quick perspective for you. This spending was so hard up and wasted and abused, whatever you want to say, that they actually hit the transportation up, and it sort of, you know, sucks up the difference and spends an extra $40 billion to help and bridge that gap, no pun intended here. With all the money we've given, they essentially borrow against that sum to get some more. And you want to give them more money via gas tax? I'm all for fixing our roads and bridges, folks. The bottom line is, what have you done with the money to fix them that you've got already to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars?